So yeah, I'm really, really proud to say I was there at the beginning and we were living the dream. I was 12 and we lived by a municipal golf course called Liverpool Municipal. And from our landing window, I could see the golf course. So it was like, go over and have a look, watch people hitting balls. And it was the old sixth. There was a ditch at about 200. So me and one of the boys, we used to sit in the ditch, have a little look up. When people hit, if they went in the ditch, we'd leg it along the ditch, crawl along, grab the balls and go back. So we were chased quite a lot, really. There was a putting green, and the pro there was a guy called Fred Lloyd. And I was down there all summer holidays. And he said to me, do you want to play golf? So I said, I'd love to. He said, tell you what, go home, ask your mum for £1, and I'll give you some clubs. So I go home, said to my mum, got £1, come back the next day, and he gave me, I think, 3 or 4 wooden shafted clubs. And it went from there, really. I just was mad from the age of 12. At that point, I honestly believe there wasn't a female under the age of 60 who played golf. I was fortunate enough to meet a guy called John Mulvey, who ran the junior section at Liverpool Municipal. And he said to me, yeah, go on, join, come on, join, play with the boys. So I grew up playing with the boys, and he was my first mentor. He was brilliant and encouraged me to play golf and be competitive with the lads. And out of all the guys in our early days who were playing, I think there was half a dozen of us turned pro, so the standard was pretty good. Wow, being a founder member, it was a dream as a child to be a golf professional, but in those days there wasn't a tour. So we played all the amateur events. When we were given the opportunity before the WPJ was formed, and it was a case of, okay, you turn pro, you group of girls turn pro, we'll find the money. But that was ever so risky, because if we'd have turned pro and they didn't come up with the money, you know, that could be 3 or 4 years in the doldrums of not being able to play. So when Carlsberg came along and said, there we go, there's 100 grand, now turn pro, it was like a no-brainer. We were living the dream, yes, but we were living the dream on 2 bob. Well, none of us had huge amounts of money, getting sponsorship was difficult. In fact, quite a few people thought it was a bit of a joke. You know, they go, oh, let's go watch the young girls play. And I think they were surprised that the quality was as good as it was, even though, if you can imagine, you play off scratch one day and you're playing for your county and maybe England, and then come the 1st of April, you're a golf pro. It was a bit of a leap of faith, but I don't regret a single minute. I was fortunate my mum and dad supported me, but money wasn't easy to come by. We didn't play for much, to be fair. In the Carlsberg events, it was a 2-day event and there's a pro-am before. And I think we only got £200. It doesn't sound a lot now, but in 1979 it was. But it still wasn't a lot, pro-rata to what maybe the men started with. So the biggest challenge was staying afloat if you didn't do so well. A lot of us stayed in housing for the first couple of years on tour, otherwise it would have been almost impossible to compete. No one really knew what was going to happen. The vision was, you know, if we've got 8 tournaments this year, why can't we have double next year and double the year after? We were all promoting the tour by playing in all these pro-ams, and you don't know who you're playing with. They could sponsor you, or they could go, we'll do a tournament next year. So we had people like Olivetti, Hitachi, quite a lot of not big companies, and they were happy to do 3-day events, which was great. We all wanted 4-day events, but there probably wasn't enough money in the early 80s to do that. The first lot of 4-day events maybe weren't quite so good, in the respect of we had less tournaments. And I think what we wanted was to play more, play every week. Because you play every week, you know, you get better and more people see, then hopefully it will encourage more tournaments to be played. Now, the girls are great. I mean, they are superstars, but they're all units of one or their groups of sponsors and whoever they've got, caddies, etc. But we were a group of friends who turned amateurs, pros, and we remain that way. We sort of looked after one another. You know, if someone wasn't doing so well, there was always someone who would give you a ride somewhere or buy you dinner. And the camaraderie was unbelievable. I could tell you some stories that make your hair curl, but I'd best not. Because it was a new thing, just about every place there was a tournament, there was always some function to go to. And they put barbecues on for us. And Robert Windsor, he ran a tournament, and we all went back to his house, and he had this like pink mansion. And of course, things like people jumping in the swimming pool and having a bit too much to drink, just what kids do. The first year, our last tournament was at a place called Valbonne, which was in Nice. One of the ladies, I mean, it was like just unbelievably hot. It was the end of September, I think. And she came off the course. She hadn't had such a good day. She dumped the clubs, legged it, jumped in the swimming pool, still holding a golf ball and a golf glove in her shoes. The transition with equipment has helped the game to be as good as it is. But the girls now are all athletes. You know, they're big, strong, they go to the gym, they run. We didn't really do much of that because, again, we didn't have benchmarks. So all of these, like Charlie, for instance, I mean, she's a gym bunny. She's fit, she's strong, and she looks the part. Where years ago, a lot of the pros, like the men as well, the men never look the part. They're all like the few beers and they're a bit on the chubby side. Now, you don't see that in the men's game, and you definitely don't see that in the ladies' game. I came off tour 87, qualified, and I've been teaching ever since. I'm quite proud to say that I'm an advanced fellow of the PJ, so next step is master coach. It's probably the best thing I ever did. With playing, you can get to a point where you think, I'm banging my head against a brick wall. And knowing when to get out, I think, is as important as knowing when to join. I'm extremely proud of what we did in those early days, and I was able to do this with a bunch of friends. Our legacy was the start. If we hadn't started it, it might not have started for 10 years after that.